How's everybody doing today? I'm Stephen McConnell, CEO and owner of Growth Mindset Initiative, author of the 7 Laws of Personal Mastery, and today that's what we're going to be talking about is 7 Laws of Personal Mastery, in particular chapter 1. The very important part of what I find through all the case studies, what is so important to discover and understand is that a lot of times we're running from operating systems that we don't necessarily um, know that we don't know exists. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. It wasn't a very powerful hook, but hopefully you get this. You go into this. This is you got this, and it's essentially me being a cheerleader. Laconia isn't here. My co-host isn't here. Me being a cheerleader. We're being a cheerleader for your journey. You got this. Particularly me, I'm Stephen McConnell. Like I said, CEO and owner of the Growth Mindset Initiative. And with that said, it's what we do. We build success from the inside out. So think about this for a second. You're running on borrowed operating system. And what does that mean? That means that a lot of your habits and a lot of your life right now is just pushing forwards and you are achieving things and grinding and working hard. Some of the things you're successful on, great, that's awesome, but it doesn't end up fulfilling you. Why is that? These oftentimes are misaligned habits that we have not chosen for ourselves to have. The ones that are working great in your life, awesome. Keep them going. Define them for yourself. The others that aren't working for you, I've had many years where I was a drinker, a heavy drinker. I was addicted to alcohol. I had learned that coping loop to where it wasn't mine. And once I learned that and discovered that and started on a health journey, I started doing the same exact thing. I started owning who I truly am. That's chapter 1. How do you do that? Well, let's continue to define this a little bit first. Remember, you're functioning on the outside in many different ways, whether it be successful or it's not successful. And those small, unsuccessful portions end up creating chaos in your life, end up creating an invisible cage that you can learn to unlock and walk out of at any point in time in your life. It doesn't matter where you are. I call this the ghost compass within chapter 1. The ghost compass is a broken instrument. The needle doesn't point. I don't know if you've seen this before, but I have a compass here. The needle on the ghost compass doesn't point to your true north. Your true north is one of, and I'll put this book right up here for you to see. Your true north is your truest self. That is not your truest self in your future, where you're going, how you're going there, how you're getting there. But first, you have to define your truest self. We, over time, spend years collecting titles and roles and labels, and they're like apps. We download them. The people we hang out with, we pick up what they're throwing down. Pardon the saying there, but we pick it up We mimic it because it seems successful or it works for a little bit. And then those, if they're bad habits, trap us. If they're great habits and they build success, all we need to do is update the app so that it builds fulfillment within. So imagine walking through a foggy forest. Your compass has a cracked lens. You cannot see true north. The glass is fogged over because the cracked lens, and you're walking in circles for days, weeks, years. You double down the effort and you walk faster, harder, every single day, working more and more and more and more. Yet you're still completely lost. Your compass isn't working. This is an analogy for the fragmented life that most of us live. Put that back over here. You've handed yourself over to a piece. You've handed yourself over piece by piece to your environment, to external validation, to all of these different things. And the checklist is something you didn't write. Got approval from the boss today. All right. I did this today. All right. It's okay for me to scroll on my phone for 15 minutes. That turns into 2-3 hours. And oh well. You're shrinking in real time because your direction has been hijacked by distraction and noise. Stop running on this autopilot that isn't even the truest of you and who you are. Movement is just speed, momentum. And this is where the personal mastery part of this book, I'll see if I can get it there on the screen. Personal mastery part of the book is talking about. It is the mastery part of your personal journey in a purposeful direction. And the purposeful direction is yours. It's who you truly are. Ask yourself right now, are you chasing something that is not who you truly are? This question is what we're going to address. And so, what I'm going to call our truest self, who we truly are, I'm going to call that the nucleus. And that is what I refer to in this book, the first chapter, the nucleus, is your sorry for the words, this is live, your irreducible source code, who you truly are. It is your inner power center. You didn't invent it, but it was something that was put together over your life, over your lifetime. It was something you put together over your lifetime that is defining what you truly want in life. And that truly want in life, we'll call that your true north or your North Star. But for now, let's focus on the nucleus. And yes, the nucleus is a physics term. It's the inner power core and center. So yes, it's absolute physics in nature. However, we're going to utilize this to illustrate how powerful our true inner self is. The nucleus dominates the atom. If we're going to go into physics, it dominates the atom. It commands 99.94% of the mass and dictates the system's potential energy. You see why I call it your truest self? We all are born with this beautiful potential energy, and we learn to waste and distract and work really hard in different directions that might not necessarily be truest to ourselves. And if we are being true to ourselves, are we generating fulfillment for ourselves? So many clients, case study after case study, plant managers who have been truest to themselves, they're the truest and the best form of leaders that they can be, but have a chaotic family life, been married one, two, three, four times, have different kids, or the kids are estranged, their children are estranged. That's not being true to themselves. A good leader knows how to lead in any and every situation because they built success from the inside out. So they're being truest to themselves, but they're still looking for validation and external approval and external, and that's covering up your nucleus. So think about the nucleus even more. It's a heavy iron anchor within the center of an atom. It allows you to sit at the bottom of a stormy sea and feel less current than the waves above. It is a gravitational point that pulls what you deserve towards you. And so the nucleus, in the way that I'm referring to it, your truest self, does the same thing. It's a gravitational center. Think about Earth's core generating the massive magnetic field. The field quietly pulls things into orbit and rotates. The field pulls and aligns the compass's needle towards true north. Excuse me, not true north, magnetic north, your North Star. And this is what I'm talking about when I say your nucleus, and let's unbury it. Without this nucleus, your movements can be random, or they could be truly towards your North Star, but not building the fulfillment that you deserve in your life. And then many times, most of my clients, they feel a chaos in their life, and it's resembling in their family life, their community, or at work. A lot of chaos at work ends up being an invisible cage, and they plateau no matter how hard they're working and how much harder they're putting effort into it. They're not going any further. They're not leveling up. And that is what is that is a shame, honestly. And when I say it's a shame, because I have met retired leaders who oftentimes speak of the same thing. They speak about how they never got out of that invisible trap. One individual, they were in engineering. They were a surveyor. They had all of the qualifications. They worked hard, but they never leveled up. And so they remained a skilled worker. And I didn't understand why. Even to this day, when I talk to him, he still doesn't understand why. And we sat there and talked for the longest of times. And he said, I wish I knew this. I wish I knew this 30 years ago. So do yourself a favor. Spend time here. Pop in the chat, ask questions. That's what this is about. Let's strip away all of the stuff that's burying your nucleus. And be warned. And this is truly a warning. Be warned that your ego will help continue to bury your nucleus. What your nucleus is not, your trauma. Your nucleus is not your bank account, your job title. These are all just protective layers and maybe self identification, or very much so could be just your ego. That is where I'm talking about. Be careful, because that can bury your nucleus and get rid of that gravitational field. Because once the nucleus is buried, you wander, you drift, thinking this is your north, and then that's your north, and this is your north. So, we're going to talk about the pure blueprint here, who you are. We're going to give you some very crucial, very important information so you can start uncovering it today. It's not just who you are and how you are, because those are excuses. That's resignation to not following who you truly are. Let's go a little bit into neuroscience and start to talk about the RAS. The RAS is the reticular activating system. And this is what helps us focus. And what we focus on is what we get. It's part of the brain. And as you work on this part of the brain, you can exercise it or it can exercise you. Overthinking exercises you to be tired and stressed and filled with anxiety. Trust me, I'm there. I'm there a lot. Running my own business, sometimes it's very difficult, and the overthinking neurons like to fire. And it gets hard sometimes. And then I'm like, wait, the reticulating activating system is focusing on the wrong thing. How do I move forwards? So this is the physical gatekeeper to our focus. It decides where sensory information gets to reach your conscious mind. And so the gatekeeper runs on this internal identity loop. Remember my warning about the ego? If your job title is who you believe you truly are, everything else gets filtered out. It doesn't matter if that filter is a good filter for your life or a bad filter for your life. Everything else gets filtered out, because our senses, all senses, filtered through our brain. And we're pulling up trillions of data points of touch, feel, taste, smell, see. The RAS helps us not to go into some catonic state of overwhelm. And so we've got to program your focus so that it's not in a constant struggle loop. Understanding that this gatekeeper within your brain is designed to keep you in survival, meaning you're alive. There's two forms of survival. Choose one. One is we're always looking for the next meal and you're hunting. You're in survival scarcity. The other one is where you know you have to hunt, you plan it out, and you plan your food out after the hunt, so that you're in your next hunt, you're continuously building and growing. That's what we call abundance. And in this way, choosing the frameworks that we have within our reticulating activating system so that we focus on continuous growth gets rid of all of that mental chatter that's in that hub. And that mental chatter is where we overthink all of this other stuff. So your body has this unconscious detection system called neuroception. It's constantly scanning for safety. Our nature, by our nature, our nervous system doesn't feel safe being authentic to ourselves. We've got to be a part of the community. We're social creatures. The difference now is, even though we're social creatures within our society, we can afford to be unique. And therefore, we have the safety within being ourselves and still contributing to the greater society. However, this neuroception, this de- unconscious detection system, is always scanning for safety. So you have to define safety. So in order to clear these fogs, and this is what we're talking about here, is in order to clear the fogs, you must manually recode this biological filter and how we define what it's working on. And that's the recoding part of that filter. Every single morning is the best way to go about this. So the 80% solution, because I want to provide value on this live. I don't want to waste too much of your time, but I do want to go into detail so you understand what we're talking about here. Chapter 1 in the book, The 7 Laws of Personal Mastery, is there for you to start practicing. Start building those skills now. So 80% of your daily habits, impulses, reactions are driven by automatic emotional responses. I call them reactions. They're automatic, they're reactions. Until you reprogram the automatic, they're reactions that you've learned from somebody else. I learned a lot of my reactions between the age of 0 and 7 from my parents. They loved me deeply, they took care of me well, they did a great job raising me. But I didn't choose my habits. I mimicked them from my parents. And then when I got into high school, then went through work experiences, I began to pick up other unconscious mimicry. And then when I start to feel overwhelmed, I pick up my phone and I distract myself with that overwhelm. When I started to really feel overwhelmed and misaligned in my life, I began to drink. These are all examples of burying that nucleus. The nucleus is always calling, that gravity is always there. Once you uncover it and let it be the gravity source within your life, you then start pulling your North Star towards you. Things start happening, you start moving in the momentum towards where you need to go. Sometimes it may not feel like it, and sometimes you might want to fire that reticulating activating system in the other way, and then begin overthinking. But the truth is, continue with it long enough. So let's do something here. Let's work on one simple skill to rewrite the a root code within a noise within yourself, and an ego part. Start with something simple, and it's a 3-step protocol. It's a system, and you could do this every single morning, um, especially before you start to distract yourself, to pick up your phone and start looking or checking emails. Let's start with a sensation anchor. A sensation anchor, sit quietly for 2 minutes. Don't think about your problems. Feel the actual physical weight of your body. Feel gravity pulling your body towards that chair and keeping you in contact with that chair. This pulls you out of this mental chatter and allows your reticulating activating system to clear. And once it starts to clear for those 2 minutes, and this is going to take practice because a lot of people haven't done this yet. You start building this stone foundation of focus. That's why a lot of people say meditation or prayer is so beneficial. We're exercising a focus. And that's what this is. You're in the present moment. You feel yourself breathe. You feel yourself be a weight upon the chair. And you sit there. Now, step 2 to this is ask yourself, what action am I taking today that protects my legacy? Now, we've already defined North Star. We haven't defined legacy. Now, legacy in the book, what I refer to as the legacy is 22 generations in the future, 500 years into the future, 550 years into the future. Who is it that's remembering you, and what are they doing because of that memory? Now, that might be too big of a thought for right now, and you really have to read the book and go into the details to build that skill. So let's just define your legacy as 10 years from now, 20 years from now, and ask yourself a question after the 2 minutes of breathing deeply, being quiet. What action am I taking today that protects my legacy? Now let's define protect. If you have a pet, a family member, a significant other, a child that's in your life, a friend even that's in your life, and you were standing there 500 feet from that friend, you look back and you see somebody, grab your friend and start taking him in the opposite direction. That's the ruthlessness of, oh no, I am going to go do something. That is needed for the protection part of this step 2. Repeat the question one more time. What action am I taking today that protects my legacy? Now, step 3, write down. After those moments, pull out your journal, write down exactly one critical, small, simple step, and then draw a line underneath it. That one step is what you need to take. And it has got to be a very tactical, one move, simple step that you can completely do. There you go. You start practicing realigning yourself through building a stone foundation for your focus, your reticulating activating system to cool down, quiet down, and then go towards where you need to go. So think about it this way. If you're going to start moving towards where you want to go, that's going to build fulfillment in your life. Alignment must precede movement, acceleration, and momentum. That means that you have to be aligned before you start working on goals. Yeah, sure, your work gives you a bunch of goals. How do you put yourself behind those goals? Well, you have to be aligned with yourself to know where you can benefit that goal the best. And in this way, you are wiping that glass off. You're repairing the lens of your compass, and you're clearing out the fog of that compass. That is what this is about. That's what chapter 1 is about. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a ton of what I call as core reflections. They're Stephenisms. They're me speaking to you through the book. But there's also a lot of experiential build the skill now in these very small steps, just like the small steps I just gave you. The 3 steps there is just that. And so in the 7 laws of personal mastery, there's this is what we talk about in chapter 1 is unburying your truest of selves. So in this process, you are wiping the glass, you're repairing the compass, you're unburying who you truly are and anchoring yourself within that. We are all very beautiful people. It is time that we start acting like being very beautiful people and unburying our nucleus and building success from within so that everybody around us sees us. Just imagine for this moment in time, imagine you're on your journey towards your North Star. You're doing what you are fulfilled and happiest doing. And everybody else around you is learning by your example. This is true leadership, and it's authentically who you are as a leader. Authentic leadership. I like to always say authentic, unscripted leadership because a lot of times the people that are following you do it because of your example, but you are not aware that they're watching you. During this live, I'd love for you to jump in and ask some questions. I'd love to answer some questions about chapter 1. This would be a perfect time for that. I'll go through the um, 3 steps again, just to go through them and summarize. This is the very important content. Now, don't get me wrong. These 3 steps are simplified. The deep, deep, deep details is in the book, The 7 Laws of Personal Mastery. It builds you step by step on how to uncover your nucleus, how to uncover and become and understand your truest of self. Through coaching, I also work on this. So feel free, if you're watching this, feel free to reach out to my channel. And when you comment on the channel, I'll directly message you how we can talk one on one. Well, how it'll be best beneficial. I crack myself up sometimes when I stutter a little bit, but 80% of your daily habits are not yours. You learn them from the people that you love, care about, that you look up to, that mentor you, and they become habits, they become impulses, they are reactions. that are in our daily lives. Each one is either pulling us down and burying our truest self. I gave you the extreme example of when I was an alcoholic. It wasn't my truest of selves. It held me back for many, 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 many years. It impacted my emotional intelligence, and all I knew how to do at that point in time, especially when I sobered up, was react. That's an example. That might not be your example, it's my example. But we also check our phones and scroll through our phones, distract ourselves, all of these different things. So 80%, imagine if you reduced that by 10% and you're at 70% habits and reactionary, but you've improved the 10%, uncovered your nucleus, your truest of selves, and moved forwards from there. And just imagine that. Where would you be going? How would you be getting there? You start to improve it little by little, 1% at a time. I like to quote John Maxwell: leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. Influence is persuasion. That's L. Michael Hall. That's part from one of his books. Influence is persuasion. The true, unscripted, authentic persuasion, influence, leadership is being true to your authentic self, uncovering your nucleus. So let's go back through those 3 steps and then I'll end this live real quick here. Step 1, the sensation anchor. Sensation anchor is you sit down, close your eyes, and you focus on the gravity pulling you against the chair. You don't have to sit up straight. You could sit in your recliner as long as you're not falling asleep. It's still a good practice if you do fall asleep, but try it again afterwards. All right? You don't want to fall asleep, but if you do, that means that you entered the focus state and then went into a deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper focus state. So you went into a flow. And sometimes we go unconscious for that. We go to sleep for that. I've done it many times. So don't think about your problems. Don't think about anything else. Feel the breath. Move the breath to your diaphragm, which is the lower part of your lungs. Have it push against your stomach as you breathe in. As you breathe out, have it push against your upper lungs. And then move from there. Sit there for 2 minutes. Have an alarm for 2 minutes. Every time your brain goes, this problem. Oh, I need to check emails. Oh, what is this person on my team doing? Oh, I didn't let the dog out yet. Come back. Feel the breath. Feel the gravity of your weight pulling against that chair. Have this sensation anchored. First thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, create a solid stone foundation of this sensation anchor for 2 minutes, 120 seconds. You can do this. You got this. Now let's go into the lifetime question. And like I said earlier in this video, I like to go really, really, really far because that is stewardship legacy right there. 550 years in the future, 22 generations into the future, if you look back at your life and then you build a purpose from that point of view, we're talking stewardship legacy level. Don't have to do that here. Keep it simple. 10 years from now, where do you want to be? And then ask yourself, what action am I going to take today to protect that legacy? And step 3 is then simple. After all those two are decided, after you've created that stone foundation of focus, and you've decided the one simple, sweet step to protect your legacy, write it down and underline it. I am going to do this today. And that this is, I am going to come back here at noon, at my lunchtime, and focus again. Practice these 3 steps. Simple, sweet steps. And underline it. Schedule it. That step 3 is just underline it. But if you're one of those people that get caught up in the moment, schedule it, set an alarm. This is supposed to happen today. This is supposed to happen right now. This is the time to do it. And maybe you could do the action right then and there. One of the things that I used for my simple step was one single pull up. I have a pull up bar, one single pull up. Trust me, after 30, 40 days of doing just one single pull up, you start to think that pull ups are not something to worry about or focus on or whatever. It's like Pringles. Once you have one chip, you end up doing 2. So then I built my routine off of it. I ended up doing 20 eventually. And then I eventually went into push ups. And then I went into sit ups. I went into planking, squats. I built the exercise simple step at a simple time, my exercise routine simple step at a simple time, every single time. These 3 steps clear your reticulating activating system, reset, build the skill of focus on what you truly want to be, where you want to be, and it starts uncovering who you truly are, your nucleus. These 3 simple steps, repeated consistently for the next 120 days, well, I'll do this. I'll throw a challenge out there right before I end this stream. You do these 3 simple steps for 120 days, and if you come back to me and you say, I did not grow one bit, I'll give you an hour free of coaching. Because I want to sit here and learn how you didn't grow, how you didn't feel better from that exercise. Simple. Take me up on the challenge. Let's do this. But you have to practice it for 120 days. I guarantee you in 5, 6, 10 days, you're going to start to feel more clear, more foundational, calmer, less reactionary. Because I have yet to have a case study or a client tell me otherwise. So 3 steps, simple 3 steps, the 2-minute clarify, sit and feel and focus. Deep breaths, sit there and feel your weight for 120 seconds. After the 120 seconds, redirecting your brain, because it's going to want to go in 15 different directions. Redirect your brain to the lifetime question of what action am I taking today that protects my legacy? Then write it down. Write it in a journal. Underline it. Today I am going to do this. And be specific. Today at 12:05 I am going to do this. and then do it. In just that last step, step 3, if you do that for 120 days, you're going to build an immense amount of confidence. Step 1, you're going to build an immense amount of focus. Step 2 is going to build an immense amount of alignment towards your true North Star and your truest of selves. Challenge me by doing it and then telling me in 120 days from today what your results are. This has been You Got This, our live session. And this has been chapter 1. It's just a small, not so deep dive into the 48 pages of chapter 1 of the 7 Laws of Personal Mastery. And I go even deeper into it with our coaching. If you're interested in becoming your truest of selves, aligning your life, and building the stewardship legacy, and owning it, not reacting to life the way you've been reacting to life, reach out to me. Let's talk. Let's do a one-on-one. Or purchase the book. In the meantime, shoot into the comments. Tell me what you thought of this episode. Share this with somebody who needs to hear it. There are so many people out there that are deeply driven that ends up punishing themselves in so many different ways. It's not even funny. I was one of them. Still am to a point. Still uncovering my own nucleus. It is a lifetime journey. An exploration that you'll learn to absolutely love. So with that said, I want to encourage you to like, subscribe, and share so that more people can hear the message. And buy my book. You'll be surprised at how detailed it is. Take care.